Episode 64, eBay Seller Conundrum, Denouement, bonus. Welcome to the Card Diary by Javier Thompson. I'm your host. It's me, Denny Cards, self-proclaimed jack of all trades, master of none, the hobby uncle with the hobby minivan, with the hobby shovel, clearing up the hobby snow. I don't know. I just feel like you just put the word hobby in front of anything and just see if it sticks. I feel like all these content creators, influencers, social media personalities, we all just make it up as we go along anyway. So, if you're a new listener, I have no clue how you found this podcast, but thanks for listening. If you're one of the dedicated few or growing to maybe not many, but some, I don't know what's more, few or some. But if you are a returning listener, thank you as always for downloading and listening, because you could be listening to anything in the world, but you're here with me. So, what I want to do today, this is a monologue episode. I want to close a loop on something I brought up 2 episodes ago, episode 62. It was the um, shares the part of the title of this episode, eBay Seller Conundrum, and it was what would you do? So I put myself in a situation because, well, we all make mistakes, but I am this supposed self-proclaimed jack of all trades, master of none. So that just means you do a lot of things. You just don't do anything really well. For me, that goes with eBay selling, and that's what this story or this podcast episode is about. I will do my best to give the Cliff Notes version, but if you know me and you've listened to me, I think you'll know that this will go pretty poorly. Um, I do have my talking points and some things I want to, really hammer in. But so let's just go. Here we go. So I have been trying to resuscitate my eBay storefront. Okay, so uh, you know, here and there, very sporadically and rarely, I take in some small consignments. People who just don't want to deal with their dollar cards. Some of these bigger consignment companies, they actually, they have very competitive rates, and I have to undercut them because why would anyone go with me over them? But they also have a much bigger emphasis on the big dollar value cards because that's where they make a lot of more of their money. And for these smaller cards, it's like they charge like 50 cents or dollar per card, and basically you just swallow it up in fees. So having said that, yeah, I don't do that. I don't take a flat rate for small cards. I won't give I don't want to get into all the percentages and all that, but I just I like looking at cards and listing them. I think what I really like about the transactional side is I like taking the pictures, I like putting up the descriptions and the listings, and then I like packing and shipping. And if I can do that without any stress on my end, with the whole like, can I make a profit off this card? The profit is the small percentage that I get, I guess. So anyway, mainly the cards that I have, the cards that I try to sell, that are mine, are sports cards that have little to no meaning to me anymore. The overwhelming majority, I don't know what percentage, let's say like 90, 95%, they are raw and they're under $20, most of them being basketball. And I do that because I can ship via eBay standard envelope. Do I want to eventually get to slabs and more expensive cards? Sure. But I figured when I have zero rating, which is higher now, but when I first started out, I was like, I need to build up the history and the showing my I don't know, credentials or process, or basically establish the reputation. So I just mentioned eBay standard envelope, also known as PWE, plain white envelope, and that is just I don't know if it's new anymore, but it's just a recent way that eBay has just made the shipping just so much cheaper and more palatable for these low end cards, because who wants to spend $4.25 on shipping for a 99-cent card? So with these, I think 1 ounce it's like 64 cents. 2 ounces is 88 cents. 3 ounces is $1 and I'm gonna get this wrong because I'm doing it off the top of my head, like 11 cents or 13 cents, something like that. So, oh, and before I continue, just as an aside, up front, I do apologize for delaying recording this kind of like part two of, and I promise this is just a two-parter, so it's part two of two. Uh, and that's mainly because I wanted to have this schedule or routine, for the Monday morning commute. Just get this out to people, publish it. And right now I'm recording this Monday evening. So if I do publish it Tuesday morning, it'll be for, it'll be just a day late. But a lot of podcasters, they say, oh, you got to keep to a schedule and got to let people know when to expect you. And again, jack of all trades, master of none. so, so eBay sales, trying to get this PSA submission ready for before the January 31st deadline, watching playoff football and just life, and really just the hobby time that I have has been consumed by eBay auction listings and the PSA submissions. I already have one in with friends, like a group submission, but trying to get my own in, just a second wave, I guess, because the $15 per modern card special is ending. Oh my gosh, in one day. Neither eBay nor PSA being a sponsor or affiliate. Okay, so going back off this tangent, my eBay profile says, and I'm reading off the phone, I started the account in September of 2022, but I did what everyone else does, which is just really just start the account to buy. I had no intentions of selling, but then I got around to selling probably, I don't have the exact date on that, but probably around like March, like in spring of 2023. And this kind of surprises me, I guess. I don't know, but I've sold 543 items according to my profile as of recording this, which, can sound like a brag or a humble brag, but, to some people, that's nothing, or they sell a lot more. Um, Same with 100% positive feedback. I think that's not really even a humble brag because so many people have that 100% positive feedback. So, but the reason I bring it up is that's the context I want to share, because this isn't my first card or my first 20 cards or 100 cards. Like, I've put in the work this past year or so. But the problem is, 2 weeks ago, approximately, I sold a 2023 Top Series 1 Rafael Devers Gold number 2 2023, which is the year it came out. So it's numbered out of 2023. And I sold it for 99 cents plus $1.99 for shipping, which is, and it was one bid, one bidder. And that's how a lot of my sales start out. And that's okay, because again, we have to start somewhere, and we all start from zero. And that's why I intentionally wanted to start with dollar cards, because I figured I wouldn't get a lot of eyeballs. At this point, I probably have, I think, yeah, my phone says 67 followers. So I do have more eyeballs on my stuff, and the better stuff, I think that they do get eyeballs. Certainly not like DC Sports 87 or all these big consignment companies. One recent YouTuber I've watched his content is SCV Sports Cards. I don't know, maybe he's not unintentionally. I may have implicitly just been influenced by his content, but I think he certainly could be polarizing, but I think it's pretty. He is entertaining. I will say that. So again, the tangent. The problem with this situation is that I gifted this Rafael Devers card to the son of one of my besties, a not hobby person outside of the hobby. And the thing is, I didn't know that at first. I was literally going through all of my cards, once over, twice, three strikes, I'm out. Okay. And my friend tells me he can't find it either. And I am just driving myself nuts. So it's a dollar card, but I'm trying to keep my pristine seller rating. But I also just want to find, I just want to find the darn card. I want to know that I either have it in my possession or that my friend's son has it. It's just one of those. I don't know if it's a personality thing. I feel like there's this one episode of Community where they can't find the pen. I don't know if anyone watches that show who's listening to this podcast, but they can't find the pen, and I don't want to spoil it, but they find out where it is at the end. But yeah, it drove everyone in that room crazy. So shout out Community. um so I am just doing my absolute best to find this card, and the only stress I really have is time, because I have given myself only one business day to pack and ship. Normal 2 days, maybe 3 days. People, it depends on what you want to set your thing at. But if I told myself, in order to get a favorable percentage rating, favorable, I don't know, listing promotions, I forget what the whole thing is. But basically, if you do free returns up to 30 days and do one business day shipping and handling, you get some preferential treatment from eBay, apparently. So the great news is the babysitter finds it. And I don't even ask where or how. This is where I will fully admit that I was very tempted to have my friend on this podcast, maybe even a quick appearance by the babysitter. But then I realized maybe that's overdoing it. I mean, arguably, giving this much time to this situation is overdoing it as well. But life's rich pageantries, I guess. Now that I know he has the card, the cliffhanger that I left you, the listener, was, what would you do? And I gave three options. Do you ship the card? Okay, one, do you ship the card to this buyer now that you know that your friend has it? That person may be potentially set building, or they're a big Rafael Devers fan. Again, not a big card, but like they just don't have it. Two, again, maybe assuming that the person is a Devers fan, do you send a different Devers? But spoiler, I don't have it. I don't have other Devers. I don't have a lot of baseball cards, but this that wasn't really an option. It was a false option. I'm sorry. And then three, do you issue a refund? So by the time of this recording, I still haven't made Instagram content out of it. I mean, I guess I still could before I press publish, but when I'm recording this, I haven't made any content out of it in Instagram, but I did have some listeners who listened to episode 62 reach out, and the consensus was, don't take the card from your friend's kid, send a different Devers, and or issue the refund. So options two or three, but don't ship the card. And this is where I'm going to take a break because I need to get some water. Hey, card fam. You ever feel that sting like I have when you sell a card online only to see 12 to 14% of your hard earned money just vanish in seller fees? It's almost like a penalty for using online platforms. But here's the game changer: My Card Post. Instead of those frustrating fees on every sale, I just pay a small monthly subscription. So that way, I get to keep a lot more in my pocket. My Card Post is a place where collectors like us come together. It's about building new relationships in a trusted community where we can all safely buy, trade, and sell. BTS. And that's what I'm about: community building and safe transactions. If you want to join, it's free to set up an account if you only want to buy. But if you want to sell and trade as well, you can get started for as little as $9 a month. And I got to hook you up for listening. Use promo code Denny when you join, and you'll get 30% off your first 3 months. And I'm already there. I have my shop. I'm buying, trading, and selling, and most importantly, connecting. So go to mycardpost.com and use my promo code Denny, Denny. Come check it out. I think you'll really like it. So see you there, where my card post, every night is trade night. cliffhanger on top of a cliffhanger. I apologize about that. So, the time I recorded episode 62, part one of this part two parter, I will be very much upfront and say that my cockamamie plan was to ask my non hobby friend to print out the shipping label I was going to email him, that I did email him, and have him ship the card to the buyer. So the key phrase in this plan is non hobby friend. A friend who does not do eBay, other than, I mean, I actually didn't even ask him, but like, he doesn't do cards, right? He doesn't pack or ship cards. I'm sure he has an eBay to buy other things, but this person, his son has penny sleeves and top loaders and likely could use the very same ones I sent his son. But he doesn't do Bubba mailers. He's not mailing things out. He doesn't go to the post office on a regular basis. Um, there's my dryer. Maybe he has some white envelopes lying around, but as much as I love this friend, uh, I know him very well, and he and I both are somewhat of, what, just I'll just say procrastinators. Okay, so flat out, this was a bad plan, and I was kind of going with option number one, shipping the card to someone potentially set building, not shipbuilding, set building, and having my friend do all the legwork. And that's what I was set on doing. When I recorded that episode, I was like, I know what I'm doing, I know what I did, and I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. But this was a bad plan because the main thing was, aside from my friend who I felt like was not going to be able to ship this out properly, or maybe he could have, but I was taking away a gift that I gave his son. Again, very small card, but he likes Rafael Devers. And yet, it wasn't until I talked this plan out to my wife when I realized this was the wrong move. None of you would know this because, again, in my hobby content, my wife and kids are squarely out of sight by design. But my wife, she helps drive my content sometimes, because when I think of doing something dumb, she's the one who intervenes. One prime example out of several or many is I used to make content while driving to a show, driving back from a show, even ripping packs at red lights, red light rips. I was like, I'm gonna try and do that in the hobby minivan that I talked about earlier. And she saw the content, and she asked that I don't do that. That, be a good example for the kids. Don't, my kids in general, I don't know, just don't do that. And another one is, the reason I don't curse, same thing, like, you know, or I try not to curse in my content, whether it's podcasts or on Instagram, is because my wife reminds me, even when I'm in the hobby, think about who the end user is, who the watcher is, or in this case, who the podcast listener is, and who may be in the car while listening to this. And so, really, in many ways, she is the one who makes me a better person. She is my moral compass. She is part of it. She's part and parcel of the person, the man that I am and I aspire to be. I don't know. Is this getting really sappy? But, she amazingly supports me in this hobby, mainly because she sees how happy I am in it. She derives no benefit from me being the hobby, but she enables me, facilitates. She doesn't help cut content. Like, I don't ask her to record, uh, but she just lets me geek out in the basement and the podcast studio slash laundry room. And she tolerates the constant mail days. Maybe not so much, but that's why I'm still trying to figure out how to self-fund the hobby and ramp up the eBay sales. That's all to say. I mean, just going back to the situation, okay? My wife very clearly reminded me that once you give a gift, you cannot ask for it back, and that this was our friend's son, and that this is someone who was a good friend of the family well before the hobby. Well, I mean, well before my re-entry back into the hobby, because this wasn't like a childhood friend, but um, And she very clearly reminded me that our friendships are worth much more than the hobby, than money, than a eBay seller rating. And very much, she is absolutely 100% correct. So, uh, I reached out to the buyer and you know, said, listen, I screwed up. I won't be able to get you the card. I can issue a refund or I can show you a bunch of cards. I don't know, like maybe six from the 2023 Top Series 1, number to 2023. And I don't have the full list of cards in front of me. Um, don't have it pulled up and ready to go, but I do remember there being some Red Sox players. And I do remember the one card he did pick out of the bunch, which was a Bryce Harper in a Phillies uniform. Again, 2023 Top Series 1. So I packed up the card with a handwritten thank you note, and this my memory's a little hazier. I think I did add in a couple of the Red Sox cards he didn't choose, and I also asked, "Hey, do you want a refund?" Again, small amount of money. We're talking about $3, but he declined, and he was happy with the transaction. He said he would leave me good seller rating. I don't know if he did or not, but it's okay, because I just feel like the conflict or the issue was resolved. I think amidst all of this, I don't know, content or podcast, the story that I'm sharing here is that we all make mistakes, but maybe more importantly, that wives are awesome, friends are awesome, the babysitters are awesome, and my buyer here, he was awesome too. So I don't know how many times I can say awesome, but before I end this episode, I wanted to say, time is indeed such an important commodity. And I've had people ask me, why are you dabbling in these dollar bins, value bins, part of the hobby? And, my answer is those are the cards I have and I want to sell, but it's also a good way to cut my teeth without high stakes because really, imagine this situation if it was $100 card or $1,000 card or even more, right? I mean, as I just said, mistakes happen, but once you start lining up those zeros at the end, the magnitude of a mistake intensifies. There's bigger stakes, there's bigger stress, there's more money involved. You know, mo money, mo problems, as Michael Scott would say. He would also say you miss 100%, 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. But it's a really stressful situation where if I had promised or if I gifted a card, and again, I am not one to gift $100 card or $1,000 card to someone, but unless it's my sons or family, I don't even have $1,000 cards unless I pack pulled it from years, decades ago. But the whole point is, um, I know that the situation occurred because cards auto relisted on eBay. I've turned that off, or I think I've turned it off, or I have to, learn that process. But in dabbling in this super low end part of the transactional side of the hobby, it's a side of the hobby I don't really like a lot. I'm not really good at it. I set up as a dealer, not good at it. I set up as I've been a breaker, not good at it. I don't like it. The part of the eBay part that I like is again like the logistical stuff, putting things in a spreadsheet, shipping and handling, listing, taking photographs of cards. I like that stuff. So, that's the whole, this whole hobby S. Thompson, the Hunter S. Thompson thing. Just try different things, see what you like. Again, I like making podcasts. I like making Instagram content. I like the logistical part of eBay. The reason I don't do a lot of buy it nows or bins is because I don't want to like negotiate. I mean, I think it's easier to negotiate online than it is in person, but I just want the auction, the market to tell me what these cards cost. And yeah, I don't get as many eyeballs as other people, but you know, eventually I can get to a point where maybe more people look at my stuff and maybe these are real comps because I know the very first sale that I had was like a France, not was like a it was a Franz Wagner Silver Hollow Prism rookie, and it sold for so low. and some commenter was like, "Oh my gosh, this is why comps are so bad. Sellers like you, just who don't know what you're doing, and put up a dollar auction for this card, and it went so low, and you've killed the market." And it's like, okay, chill out, right? Um, Block that person too, because they're getting nasty over DMs. But when it comes down to it, yeah, like there might be off comps or like deviating from the norm, but how else are people supposed to start? You have to start selling, right? And auctions were a way that I wanted to attract more people towards my listings, because I figured people would think that, they can get a good deal, and that everyone has an opportunity to fight over it or to bid and to do their best to try to win the card. Like, it's everyone has an opportunity and chance. So, um what else did I want to say? I think that's mainly it. Um Went on several tangents here. Thank you for listening. But again, if you're considering this at all, it's like not rocket science, but it also is a lot of there's you know elbow grease that goes into it. Um, I found it to be fun. I don't know, when I'm listing cards, sometimes I'll just listen to a podcast and I'll just it's like therapeutic. It's just a lot of fun for me. So, moral of the story, don't take cards from kids. Wives are awesome. The hobby is awesome. You're awesome. And the final thing I want to say is there is a double meaning to the episode title where I say denouement. And it's the ending of the bonus episodes for season one. I think and I hope that the next episode will be the start of season two. I tentatively have plans to kind of go back to the meat and potatoes of the hobby, the transactional side, the buying, selling, trading. And this eBay mini two-parter makes me want to explore selling from the eBay side, and do kind of like season one stuff, but with a different spin, and talk to more people. I thought about talking to two people each time to kind of like season two, but then I'm like, what am I going to do season three? Have three people at each time? That doesn't make any sense. But I have some really interesting eBay sellers lined up. I won't share them now, but I may even solicit for some more stories. Like, I have this one person who I think is going to be, I don't know how they're going to be on a podcast form, but just watching their content or reading their stuff, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, this sounds very, very interesting. So, um, yeah, maybe I will solicit for people who maybe want to talk about their eBay sales, and if they're a power seller, maybe I even have a consigner come on. I don't know, but season two is going to talk about that custom card art, which I keep talking about and teasing. The art of podcasting, again, just all the different hats we wear. What else? Like, just so much that floats in my head. Content creators, influencers. Just want to talk to more people. Just to get to gain a better understanding of how the other side lives. I think that's ultimately what I've tried for this podcast to be about. And so, yeah, breakers. I already recorded an episode with a breaker, and that will be maybe one of the first interviews, guests that I have on for season two. So that was a really fun one to record. And so I leave you with that. Thank you for listening. Hope you got something out of this. If not, I hope it was. Hope you had a good commute going to work or going back home. Uh, and so, yeah, the hobby's awesome. You are awesome for listening. And take care, friends. No outro this time.